This is ATL Day Ones, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta. And it starts now.
Welcome into ATL Day Ones with Jarvis and Tenitra. We want to say thank you for joining us today. Oh, man, we got a lot of good stuff on board for you. And also, well, first of all, before we let you know what we got on board for today, I got to let you know that I want to say thank you for making ATL Day Ones with Jarvis and Tenitra your first listen of the day. And make sure you remember, we are free and available wherever you download your podcast. You guys have been stepping your game up with that on that side as well. And we really appreciate you for that. And while you're there, make sure you go ahead and give us a 5-star review so everybody and their mamas, auntie, cousins, Pookie, man, everybody can find out about us and understand how great we are. You know, that's what we are. That's what we do.
Even if you don't know a Pookie and a man, because I don't know what it means, but okay.
Come on, T, don't start with me today. Yeah, so if you don't know Pookie or Man, sorry about that. You know, I don't want to isolate anybody. But yeah, if you don't have a Pookie or Man, you know, a family member or somebody that you are very close to.
I'm kidding.
But we're gonna talk some Braves. You know, Braves Phillies tonight. We got to talk about that, and there's a little injury bug has bit the Braves again. We'll tell you who that is and what that's going to mean for the Braves going forward. And also, Danilo Gallinari's contract is about to be fully guaranteed. Now, I don't know about y'all, but that can't happen. We'll tell you what Travis Slant can and will do as they come up on that deadline. And last but not least, we are 60 days away from week 0, college football. All I got to say is SWAC MEAC Challenge and Kendrick Perkins and Draymond Green are beefing. Ooh, sheesh. Here we go. We'll talk about all that. Before we get there, like I said, Braves Phillies tonight. Charlie Morton's going to be on the mound. And the Braves have kind of cooled down a little bit. Last 10 games, they're 5-5. As a team, they're only batting .238. With a batting average, and you know they're even run differential, so it's pretty average in these last 10 games, and they're coming up on and going against the NL East opponent like the Philadelphia Phillies. This is a series that they have to absolutely win.
Yeah, because they are trailing. They're right there in the thick of things are the Phillies. Yes, the Mets are still atop the NL East. Braves are still 5 games behind them for the division. But they're the Phillies right there, 8 games out of first place as well. So, yeah, this is a pivotal matchup for both of those teams. 2 quality pitchers on the mound, Charlie Morton and Zach Wheeler. So I'm interested to see if this is going to be another one of those pitchers duels like we saw in the series finale versus the Dodgers. And I really am excited. This is one of those times where, remember, Jarvis, when we started this conversation maybe 2 months ago, maybe 3 months ago at the start of the season, we were all very concerned about what Charlie Morton was looking like. But Charlie is looking, we're to the point where when Morton is on the mound, we feel like there's every opportunity for the Braves to win. So I'm excited about this. I think the Braves understand, like you said, they've had a little bit of a swoon of late. I think they understand the importance of getting that momentum back as they head into the All-Star break.
No doubt about it. And before, you know, there is, and I think now that the Braves are, you know, they've dealt with the Ozzie Albies injury, right? You know, Orlando Arcia is a guy that has stepped in and been solid. You know, I think it's okay to say that, right? You know, he's been a solid fill-in for Ozzie. He's not Ozzie, but he's been a solid fill-in so far. Now, seems like the Braves will have another position to fill. But before we get that, we'll talk about that and what that means. But before we get there, tell everybody about Blue Nile.
Yeah, Blue Nile, interesting new website. It's the original online jeweler, BlueNile.com. They have a focus group of high-income adults. That's 100 grand, 6 figures, primarily males, 25 plus, but you know, that's for everybody. And it's for those individuals specifically, though, who are looking to get engaged or gift fine jewelry. Visit that website and convert to a Blue Nile customer now. You can celebrate really all of life's special moments, and not just an engagement, but anything, because they create custom rings, the ring of her dreams, or maybe his dream. It just kind of depends on whether or not you're bold enough as a female to pop that question. But we'll leave that for you to decide, you and your significant other. But there are two parts to this business, like we said, wedding jewelry, but also fine jewelry, because you may want to honor someone in your family, like your mother. You may want to honor her, if you will, or a grandmother or whomever. So it really gives you the opportunity to just take a piece of jewelry and make it a piece of your family history. Now, here's the thing. It's a simple online tool, right? Because you can choose the diamond shape, you can choose the diamond size, and you can choose the diamond color. So it's really all in your hands. And we make it so simple for you guys to be able to take advantage of a discount. You can make the moment sparkle. Again, I'll give you the website. It's BlueNile.com. And Locked On Sports listeners, you guys can get $50 off purchases of $500 or more. It's a podcast exclusive discount, includes engagement. Again, you're using the code LOCKED on, and every order is insured, which, hey, we got to keep it real. If it's coming to your door, you want it to be something discreet that nobody knows about. And again, you're going to go to BlueNile.com to place your order today.
Make sure you go and do that. And I think that the Braves may have to place an order on who's going to be closing games now. Who's going to be able to fulfill that order, whether that be on the roster? Do they go outside? We're talking about Kenley Jansen because he's been added to the 15-day DL.
Yeah.
But because of a regular heartbeat, and I know you had some personal experience with that, T, and they've backdated it to June 27th.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the good thing though is that he'll still be able to throw bullpens. And keep his arm up to speed as he kind of deals with this irregular heartbeat condition.
Yeah. And Jarvis, you and I also have some intimate knowledge of this in some way, shape, or form, because while we don't compare or contrast what Kenley Jansen does for the Braves versus what Kaleb McGarry does for the Falcons, the bottom line is when you're dealing with a heart condition, and I have a similar one, it's just a challenge because you never know when it's going to flare up and when it'll rear its ugly head to keep you sidelined. So this is similar to what the Falcons actually did when Kaleb McGarry first joined the team, where they had to sideline him a couple of weeks, a couple of games after the procedure for precautionary measures. Because listen, you can play sometimes with these conditions. I unfortunately was not. That's why I talk about sports. That's why I didn't get an opportunity to play. But I have a similar issue. It, of course, is genetic in nature, and a regular heartbeat or a rhythm that's not quite the same as everybody else's. So it's almost like your heart, when they say skips a beat, unfortunately, this is the bad side of skipping a beat. So it's really a precaution on the part of the Braves. Jansen has dealt with this his entire career, and he's always been able to come back and produce, if you will. And they, of course, called up Jesus Cruz. So hopefully he'll be somebody that can step in for the A team, especially hopefully be able to give them some relief, because we know of recent the middle relief in particular has been a bit of a challenge for them. But again, I like the fact that it's just the 15-day IL versus something like the 60-day. Doesn't put the Braves in nearly as bad a shape as they could be. And to your point, it's actually retroactive back to tomorrow. So, hey, we're that much closer to getting him back. And hopefully he'll be able to come back full 100% ready to rock and roll and look like the Kenley we saw just before the last outing against the Dodgers.
No doubt about it. And like you said, there is help coming.
Yes.
With Tyler Masick, we talked about him being in single A ball down there
today,
in Augusta, getting that going, and hopefully he can kind of get on the mend and not necessarily rush, but hey, we might need you pretty soon.
Yeah, and it's like you said, it's just knowing that he's coming. So it's help on the way. The Braves, the good thing about where the Braves are is that you made a great point. We don't need to rush anybody. Braves don't need to rush because they're still in good standing. You're still just 5 games out. And listen, let's be real. The Mets have their own issues, right? Because they've got Jacob deGrom already on the IL, and now they have Tyler McGill heading to the IL. So they already have some challenges with their pitching rotation, and not that you ever want to see anyone injured. But if there's going to be a situation where your pitching staff is in jeopardy, well, you kind of sort of like the guy ahead of you in line to have some challenges there as well. So just saying.
No doubt about it. And they're another team that will be facing some challenges this year, the Atlanta Falcons. The offensive line had a lot of challenges. They were one of the worst teams in pass protection and running the football last year. I think that's an understatement. I'm being nice right now.
Being nice.
They were terrible at times. I ain't gonna call them names, so I'll just keep it like that, right? So, but I think that, you know, when you think about going into training camp with essentially the same, you know, offensive line, barring any moves, a last-minute emergency, breaking case emergency type moves, which we know Terry Fontenot will make. I have a good feeling that he will make that, but as of right now, this is what we're going to go with, right? So you got Jake Matthews, you got Jalen Mayfield, Matt Hennessy, Drew Dahlman. Those guys look like they've been battling out for that center position. Yeah. And then, of course, the stalwart, Chris Lindstrom. No problems. Keep moving. And Caleb McGarry, as you mentioned earlier. So I think that, but the thing that got me thinking about this offensive line, right? We know how Arthur Smith wants to function as an offense. We know that he wants to be able to establish the run game. We know that he wants to be able to play off of that and pass the football off of the run game, meaning that you have to be successful in running the football in order for him to get to that next level of his offense and where he wants to be.
Yes.
But my thing is that the question that comes to my mind, T, is that let's just say Jalen Mayfield and Matt Hennessy / Drew Dahlman. We're gonna make that one person, right? Right. Whoever's in that spot. Just say those guys get better. Is that enough in order for Arthur Smith to be able to run the offense like he wants to?
I do believe so. I believe if everybody even took a 5-degree step in the right direction, that would be gangbusters, because if he's truly who we believe him to be, which is a guy who can run the offense through his running back, but also through his tight ends, he has a nice stable of tight ends to work with, right?
Loaded.
And so, and in addition to adding to the wide receiver room. So I believe that because his talent is, we're going to say theoretically better, because we know other than Kyle Pitts, we've not seen, say, Drake London or others in action. But theoretically, if they are as good as we think they are going to be, or even a Brian Edwards that we still don't talk a lot about, but you look at some of those additions to the wide receiver room and to the tight end core and the running back room, as we've been talking about before, very intrigued by Tyler Algier and what he's going to be able to do, then that to me says O-line. You now have some additional talent that can on the outside, right? You've got the passing game, and then you've got some inside and also some good pass catchers. All you have to do is move the needle about 5 degrees, and that should go a long way. Not to say, Jarvis, that we don't want better, but you do have at least good anchors in the likes of a Chris Lindstrom. You do have that guy, and we'll go with solid with Jake Matthews. So if the rest of that O-line, if the other 3 positions can at least even get in the ballpark of matching them. I'm not going to say matching them, because we know what Lindstrom's grades look like for 2021, best in the league. And we know that Jake Matthews has always been solid. I do believe it can bode well for the Falcons offense. And like you said, give Arthur Smith and Dave Ragone the opportunity to really run that offense like they want to, similar to what we saw him be successful with in Tennessee.
And you know what? And when you think about like the success of the offense, right? I think a lot of the success of the defense is predicated on the offense, on how well they do. Because when you think about, like, it's almost kind of like a string pulling on a string, right? If your offense is struggling, constantly going 3 and out, and not sustaining drives and not being out there on the field, guess what? That means your defense is going to be out on the field much longer. And we saw what that looked like last year. It didn't look good, especially when teams are able to pass the ball and get up and down the field, and those big chunk plays and all that stuff. That stuff adds up. And then you're talking about their defense being on the field for 60, 65 plays. That's absolutely ridiculous. That is unacceptable when you're talking about being successful on defense. So I think that Arthur Smith understands that. And I really wholeheartedly believe that he is really counting on his offensive line to be much, much better in 2022. What we are expecting the Hawks to be better than 2022.
Yes.
But T, are they working on a deadline? Travis Slant got a deadline to meet. And we'll tell you exactly what that deadline is and who that involves next, right here on ATL Day Ones with Jarvis and T.